Welcome to the Women Leaders Association podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. Be sure to tune in each week to hear an empowering message from the world's top women executives, trailblazers, entrepreneurs, and all-around fierce female leaders. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland, and I will be taking you on a deep dive of each message to equip you with the principles, strategies, and tools you need to start crushing your goals, increasing your impact, creating work-life harmony, and did I mention have more fun? Because when you love what you do it better. The Women Leaders Association is the world's largest women executives association with over 30,000 women in executive and leadership positions who are committed to the development and advancement of women in the corporate arena. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association chapter, would enjoy daily podcasts, or you desire to become a part of the Women's Mastermind group near you, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com. Now let's tune in for this incredible message. On today's episode, hear from Jennifer Sutton, a 3-time founder and a 4-time mom. Jennifer is an accomplished marketing and advertising expert who has dedicated her career to helping businesses grow and thrive. After 2 decades of working in large advertising agencies, she decided to take the leap and establish her own marketing and advertising agency in 2013, Bright Marketing, growing it into a multi-million-dollar venture. Welcome, Jennifer. Hey, welcome back to the Women Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland, and I'm so excited Jennifer's with us today. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Welcome, and everyone. Happy to be here.
Yes. So we're just going to get into it. She has so much skill and knowledge that, we're talking about what should we talk about today? And she's had so much knowledge. So we're like, we're just going to have a conversation. That's what we're going to do. It's going to add value to all of y'all that are listening. So Jennifer, bring us back to that moment you got started and you were like, you know what, it's time for me to develop my own thing.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that desire.
So it's interesting. I call myself kind of a reluctant entrepreneur because I never really thought about starting my own company. I grew up in, I call myself a serial agency person. I've worked in agencies my whole career. Big firms, smaller, mid-sized firms. And honestly, it was like watching the stress and the pain of what owners and leadership did. I'm like, I think I could be just a great leader and help build that brand. But I worked, one of the last agencies I worked for, which loved, it was, I had great clients, learned a lot. It was a very conservative, like most agencies, in a male-dominated leadership and agency world, it's very male dominated. This agency was no different. And there was no room for female leadership. And really it became when the glass ceiling, I just didn't hit it. It like got slammed on top of me. During my, one of my last reviews, it was your title capped and your salary capped. I'm like, well, what am I going to, I don't think I'm going to be here much longer. And I got encouraged by a lot of other peers that were, Jennifer, you bring 2 decades of marketing and media and branding. Why don't you, just go independent and do freelance? So I did that for about 3 months of just kind of working a couple of contracts on my own. But my phone was ringing off the hook from other people I'd worked with, clients, peers, creative directors or, research folks, media people that were like, start a firm. Like we're all in these silos trying to serve bigger clients. And you have a really good approach. You know how to do operations. You know how to build the infrastructure so that we can all, come together and really serve the business community in a better way and in a different way, and a less, I call it the unagency way. And so, at the end of 2013, Brightco Marketing was born.
Yeah.
And it's a boutique, full service marketing agency that truly does serve, I would say, growth companies in a very, just in a different way than most traditional agencies. So
yeah, I love that. And I've heard that advice before of if you have that desire to
see change, maybe that's the prompting to be the change, right?
Yeah.
And that's so what you did. It was like, wait a second, here I am, like with all this wealth of knowledge and skill set and all these wonderful attributes, and I literally can't do anything more with it under this particular structure.
Right.
I think so many people are faced with that. And listen, if you're listening right now and you're like, yeah, that's me, I'm going to leave my job. Listen,
Have a
first,
plan.
have,
Have a plan.
have a plan. We're not saying leave your job, but what we
Sure.
are encouraging is to truly be honest with yourself, right? And you had to have that moment, right, where you had to have that honest conversation of, wait a second, this is all great in theory. What does it look like practically? Like, what's going to be required of me? So talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, because that is a good point. When you do decide, hey, I'm going to start something, you've got to think of it as, is this am I just a solopreneur? Am I just looking for gigs because I want to have a lifestyle of freedom and not really worry about trying to create a scalable organization? Or do you want to create something that is bigger than you, that other people will be taking risk on your decisions, and it's and it's a lot of risk financially of you're not just your blood, sweat, and tears, but you're putting your money behind it. You're now having to worry about payroll and worrying about your utility and your building and your assets that you're now in charge of. And that is just a different, mindset of being a founder of a company versus just going, I'm going to leave my job and just be a solopreneur. There's just a lot more risk and a lot more hard work that goes into that.
Yes.
And I think those are just, like you said, you just got to know what's going to make you tick and what's going to make you happy.
Right.
Because if
And be
you think
honest
that
with
it's a
yourself.
4-day work week,
Yep.
it is highly mistaken.
No, it's an 8-day work week.
Yeah.
It's an 8-day work week.
Exactly.
And that's so true, is to have those honest conversations with yourself. I remember a dear friend of mine, she worked at a salon company for a long time. And then she finally went out and opened her own. And she goes, you know what I realized? I don't have anybody else to blame. And that's so true. I mean, think of all the things when circumstances go wrong, right? How easy it is and how quick it is to be like, oh, it's this person's fault. They didn't do this. They didn't follow through here. But when you're doing your own thing, you're like, wait, where's my mirror?
Right. Or it's like you have to realize too, and that's some of the things that just we've learned over the last, especially since COVID, the people management part of it of as you start scaling your business and now you've got other people that used to do what you do, because that's why you start the business. You're really good at like your craft, but now to scale it, you've got to now work on the business, not in the business.
Yes.
But other people now represent your brand and your business. And that was a very hard lesson that we're coming out of that lesson over the last couple of years of, I took for granted the uniquenesses and what made our company successful because it was my approaches, my philosophies that I talked about more macroly. But I thought people just I didn't feel like I needed to micromanage and train. And what we were like, I had to come back in and go, you know what? I can't take for granted those things. I need to make sure that people, when I onboard and orient people to our company, that they know exactly what the steps are and then empower them to do it. But that was my mistake. I didn't arm them with that.
Yeah, that's good. And it's so profound that, again, having that honest conversation and realizing that, because so often, entrepreneurs get in that, well, I just can't hire the right people, or, that they're leaving and they're not saying, well, princess, it's time to take a look, right?
Right.
And that's so true with this business and with being a founder, being an innovator, being the trailblazer. Like, you're going first and there's nothing wrong with you.
Yep.
And that so many people in that position of that deep desire to know that they are meant for more, to go start their own thing, they have that extreme isolation that kind of happens,
Ooh,
right?
yeah,
It's, you
it's
have to
scary.
kind of push through that
You
to
do.
really get to the other side.
And you really, I can't encourage enough. I mean, where I found strength is in finding a community,
Yes.
other founders, especially other women-owned, businesses and leaders, because you feel so much better. It might not solve your problem of like, what's your headache today, but it sure makes you feel some comfort that I'm not alone. Okay, you four went through the exact same thing I'm going through. You can relate. It's so like just it's healing. And then to go, how do I start networking and building a community? Go, I'm getting ready to enter in this phase and I'm struggling. Who can I go reach out to that, industry leaders, business leaders, people in my community, who can take can I buy a cup of coffee for and just go, any advice? You'll be amazed at how many people will take the call.
Absolutely. And even, free resources like this, one thing I do want to caution entrepreneurs on is the constantly wanting to do just coffee chats or just the free things, because at some point you are going to have to invest in yourself and your personal
Yes,
growth and your
that's
mentorship and
right.
all of that. Financially, you're going to have to invest in that
Yep,
because, it is so true that what you are willing to invest in yourself, you will reap on the other side.
that's right. That's
And
right.
so many entrepreneurs don't understand that.
No, and you're
It's
right.
tight.
You will find that you need a coach in this, and you're gonna have to pay for that expertise. Or
Yeah.
like, you don't know accounting, you better get somebody that knows accounting.
Right. It's not something you just like play with.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, or legal and really understanding what your IP, what you're trademarking, how are you protecting your brand and your assets? Don't play around with that. That can just, I mean, you could ruin your business
Yeah.
by not paying for those type of, like, I'm in marketing. I work with a lot of founders and business owners of branding and marketing. Don't try to do it yourself. Like,
Right.
you need some outside perspective
Yes.
to push you.
Yes.
But it's like, but that community of, look, especially women founders and the isolation of, because we're also caretakers, we're moms,
Right.
there's
None of
other
that
things that we're
stops.
doing. Yeah, we find that it gets that we're our own cheerleader. And sometimes you need to just have other cheerleaders in
Yeah,
your life
it's true.
who can just, with a text, with a phone call, even just the simple thing of, you know what, I, I did a really great pitch today, and there's nobody around me in my company that I want to say these things to, of like, I'm proud, but I need somebody to pat me on the back. Like,
Yeah.
so, and those things go, and to celebrate and to force the celebration of those wins.
Yeah.
We don't do it enough.
It's
And
true.
and you really need to find that community, that circle,
Yes.
that can be your cheerleader.
Yes, absolutely. And there, to your point, you're saying that there are so many times that we have to cheer for ourselves, especially in the beginning. And I was in the car with my son yesterday, and he missed a day of school this week because he was sick, and they announced that he won the math competition for all of third grade. And he was like, I missed getting my picture taken for the yearbook. And I was like, listen, Myers, even if nobody else celebrates you, you got to do one of these. And like, I showed him how to like tap your own back,
Just do it.
because there is like developing that skill young of I can still celebrate me.
That's right.
And to your point, it's so important to have a group of women or like missions people around you that get it, that you
Right.
can call and say, wait a second, I'm having big time imposter syndrome right now. I need you to talk me off the ledge, because that happens too.
Oh, it happens. Yeah. And a lot of times, especially, for female founders and, our circle of family and friends aren't
They don't get it.
leading. They don't get it.
They don't get it.
And so you need to surround yourself with those people and with others. I mean, not to say that you need to dismiss your friends, because they can be cheerleaders in their own way, but
Absolutely.
they don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, I talk about getting around like missioned people because
Yes.
yeah, like-minded is great, but at the same time, being around somebody who is like missioned, to
Mhm.
improve themselves, improve those around them, have greater impact in this world. When you're around people with that same mission and they have a different perspective than you, they have a different mindset than you, that's
Right.
great because that's expansive.
That's
That
right.
allows you to fill the space and to learn new things. And so I love being around like missioned people
Mhm.
versus just like-minded people.
Right. No, that's a good point, Juliana. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened when you are now, going, you started your own agency, but it's not an agency.
Yeah.
And what are those first steps like as that founder? Talk a little bit about that.
Oh, we grew so fast. We grew 300% in, year over year growth for the first like 3 years.
Wow.
And so you're almost like not even paying attention. You're just like you are
You're
just
going.
serving clients, like
Yeah.
banging out. Because a lot of the stuff, again, you're in the business, right? You're not running the business, you're in it. Like, you know, moving forward. And then as you start scaling, at least for, my big kind of first wall, my truly first like, oh shit moment, I think it was in either year 3 or 4 where we had a very significant project. We were doing a huge commercial shoot, national commercial shoot. We thought we had all of our contracts, everything, buttoned up. And what we found was we had somebody that knew enough, a company that knew enough how to scam smaller startup agencies.
Oh gosh.
And so we got the first initial kind of deposits, but then they were a no pay.
Oh.
So having to, like, we call it, the legal MBA, like you're going back to school, like,
Mhm.
that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
You're paying out the wazoo, but it became, oh, well, that's when it's like legal became much more important of
Right.
getting counseling from, okay, you had contracts, but you guys were not reading between like the behavior of,
Mhm.
and knowing they're getting ready, they're setting you up.
Yeah.
You're gonna get scammed. And so we had to go through all these like lessons of, no, nobody would do that. Like, who does
Right.
that?
Yes.
Like, but we had to take it, we had to go to court. We had
Mhm.
to, and we literally watch people lie, like lie
Yes.
through their teeth on the stand. We learned things like, oh, if they text you approvals from their personal phone, they didn't technically, that wasn't a business asset, and it was not recognized by the court
Oh
to
my
to
gosh.
prove that they had given us the approvals.
Oh, it's
So little
all
bits like that, or learning, like a lot of people use Slack. That's not recognized by the court system if there's chatter of approvals and formal processes. That is not, like, Microsoft Office and Teams is recognized by the court system to protect your processes and the communication chatter between team and client. But like Slack and some of these other newer apps are not.
wow.
So it was eye-opening experience, but it we buckled down on our contracts. We buckled and we used the contracts as the processes that we built to protect us. So it wasn't, hey, I'm not saying this.
Right.
This is, our legal advice.
Yes.
This is how we do business.
Yes.
And those that fight you on that,
Let
like
them
fight
go.
you on the terms, you do not want to do business with them.
Nope,
They are
sure don't.
setting you up to scam you.
Right. Right.
Um, so those were, we were 5 years in by the time we got through that.
Yeah. And it makes such a point though of you're either going to pay in advance to get the proper legal setup done originally, or you're going to pay on the back end, which is what y'all
Right.
had to do, right? You had to
Right.
literally pay in the resources of
Oh my
attorney.
God. And we thought we had paid, like, we got our contracts in place, but it was the coaching of let me
Understanding.
walk you through. So when people argue you, when you're negotiating those service agreement points, I'm going to teach you about every single one of these clauses and the importance of the clauses.
Yeah.
That was the whoa.
Yeah.
We were not armed with that information. So we, as people were trying to line item, cross out these things in our clauses, or because it's like, yeah, we want to do business with them. This is a huge, huge
Right.
deal. Yeah, like I said, those were things that our lawyer was like, oh, they were totally looking for a smaller startup agency
Mm.
to basically go, we've got $100,000. We don't have a $500,000, but we're just not going to pay the other 400.
Right.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And unfortunately, there are people out there.
Mhm.
Because I've talked to a lot of agency owners. I'm like, my story is amplified by 1,000. Like
Mm.
it happens.
Yeah. It does. And it doesn't always have to be on such a grand scale like you experienced. But again, that's the important thing of getting started well, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh
receiving the
yeah.
coaching and things like that. And we see that as an expense, but it really is an investment in our
Yeah.
business and our future and our sustainability, all of those wonderful
All
things.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. So what are some of the positive things that
Yeah.
happened once you started your new brand?
So, we've recognized, we're in the business of people, right? We market to people with our, when we have clients that we're doing all their brand work. How do we need to relate this brand to those people? But it's also, how do we relate to our clients? What world are they in? Who
Yeah.
are they having to serve upstream, downstream, side stream? Um, and how do we make their lives easier? So, becoming kind of the experts of just serving people,
Yeah.
and teaching others on our team of that philosophy and that approach, and almost kind of creating the next gen
Mhm.
of great marketers,
Yeah.
great account service people, that I was like, I got 30 years of experience, but a lot of people on our team, we've got 30 years like how are we teaching and
Right.
bringing up that next generation of how do you create, great creative in the world of AI, where you got
Right.
people that use Canva that has just like corrupted great visual design.
Mhm.
And some of the, AI and copywriting of, there's still some things that like AI and tools cannot replace,
Right.
human thinking. But how are we telling that, how are we teaching that, and how
Right.
do we insert ourselves there? So that's been, some of the best part of, as we've kind of grown up and as we've expanded and kind of honed our processes, it's really about the people,
Yeah.
the clients that we work with, their clients that they're trying to serve, and then the people on our team and how are we cultivating that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That's
fun.
great. I
Yeah.
love that. Oh, it's been such a great conversation. So, what will be like one last piece of advice that you would give to the listener who, now we've kind of pulled back the curtain and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is the good, the bad, and the ugly," right? What piece of advice would you give to her when she's feeling like I don't know how to start, I don't know when to start, I don't know where to
Yeah.
start?
So I'm gonna give two pieces of advice. So
We'll
if
go
you're
for
in
two.
that mode of like, I don't know, if you're contemplating, just do it. Like, just start. Like, don't hesitate. As in, find whatever that passion, like find a small project, just start in some form or fashion. And
Yeah.
then the other, especially for female, you know, we have that imposter syndrome. A lot of times we have a self-esteem, confidence level when we walk into boardrooms, and I'd say, and this is, my motto, and I say this almost every day, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Every day you're going to enter in some uncomfortableness.
Yes.
Whether it's difficult conversations you're going to have with a client, difficult conversations you might have to have with a team member, or just doing something you have never done before. It's okay. Just get comfortable with it. And the more you do it,
yes,
you will find that you're going to start mastering it.
yes.
And you're going to find that you're going to like change your mindset to
Yes.
go, oh my God, I can totally do this.
Yes.
Like why was I so afraid?
Right. It is 100% worse in your brain if you leave it up there in the thought process than it is just actually living the thing out.
Yeah. And, okay, I'm gonna give one more little lucky strike extra here for the bonus. Never think about yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, don't let those ghosts haunt you for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just get through, stay present in the day, work towards tomorrow, and just like yesterday is done. Can't change it. It's been put to bed. Don't linger on it. Don't let those ghosts haunt you. And corrupt your thinking.
Yes.
If you learned a lesson from it, great. Move on.
Yes.
Just go.
I like how you said put it to bed, and I was thinking, don't go wake it back up.
Let it go. Just let it go. Can't change.
I love it. So Jennifer, how can people contact you, either to just be in your space, in your world, or to work with you?
Yeah. So I'm really active on LinkedIn and Twitter. So Jennifer Johns Sutton is my LinkedIn profile, and you'll see all the links of how to engage with us on there. Or Twitter, I'm at JJ Media Maven. I know I've had it since like 2005 or whatever, but JJ Media Maven. I throw a lot of tips and tricks around media and marketing, but also just what it's like to be a founder. So yeah, follow.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for your expertise and your willingness to share. We need more of these conversations happening in the world. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And listen, if you are looking for more, we will drop the links for Jennifer and how you can get connected with her. And you can also visit womenleaderspodcast.com and join a chapter near you. Bye for now.